And in Hong Kong, no room left in hospitals. The city is overwhelmed by COVID-19. As President Xi Jinping tells leaders it is their job to stabilise the situation. Hui Ching, Research Director of the Hong Kong Ming Institute, joins us live. Mr. Hui Ching, of course, a lot is lost in translation, and of course, the central government has its own way of talking. President Xi Jinping telling Hong Kong's leaders that they must take, quote, the main responsibility in tackling the coronavirus crisis. What would you read into that?
Well, actually, in my eyes, there are at least three messages we could read from the statement made by the president himself earlier today. Well, first of all, to the Hong Kong people, the president himself wished to cheer up the Hong Kong people. And I guess solidarity is much more important than anything else at the moment. And the president himself reassured that the policy of COVID zero, we will not withdraw from such line. And secondly, for the Ms. Carrie Lam and her administration, I will not use the word warn or warnings, sent by the president himself to Ms. Carrie Lam. But it is true that the president wished to remind the Hong Kong government, particularly those senior officials, the number of cases is still rocketing at the moment. The situation of Hong Kong is really bad. They were underperformed without a doubt. And lastly, for the international society, and Xi Jinping himself emphasized that when we are talking about decision makings, the Hong Kong SAR government will still act as the coordinator under pandemic. The one country, two systems is still working quite well at the moment.
Hui Ching, let's look at what's happening in Hong Kong right now. We're 2 years into this pandemic, but patients we see, some of them are being treated outside hospitals, even on the streets. What's gone wrong with the healthcare system?
Well, Jesus Christ. That is one of the most developed economies in the region. The scenarios outside of quite a number of hospitals in Hong Kong are very embarrassing, disappointing, and to a certain extent is quite shocking. Not to the Hong Kong people only, not to the Hong Kong people merely, but also to the people of China proper. I guess, Ms. Carrie Lam and her administration are really satisfied with their own performance and achievement from since the first to the fourth wave of pandemic. And they truly believe what they have done already in the past 24 months will be sufficient to overcome any challenges brought by the Omicron variant. But obviously, they have made serious mistakes. And these serious mistakes have already brought disastrous conditions to Hong Kong and its people.
Mr. Hui Ching, if I could cut in here, that message from President Xi Jinping, it's not just telling Hong Kong to step up, perhaps, but also telling other governments, for example, Guangdong, neighboring Guangdong, to maybe step in and help. So that's what they have been doing, to offer services, to offer health facilities. Does Hong Kong really need these things? Has it been inefficient in using what it already has?
Well, my answer would be yes or no. And when we are considering the fiscal condition of the HKSAR government, the condition is not bad. When we're talking about the reserve, the government reserve at the moment, we still have 800 billion Hong Kong dollars at the moment. And of course, in theory, we could purchase all these materials, resources, or even services internationally. However, as we know, all these manpower, all resources, materials, the major providers will still be the factories or the institutes in mainland China. So, in fact, the direct help from the central government might aid the Hong Kong government and its people to obtain all these services and materials more effectively and more directly.
Oh, thanks so much for all of that, Research Director Hui Ching from Hong Kong Ming Institute.